The last video in our tutorial here is going to cover the sensing blocks, these blue blocks, as well as the variables blocks. And then we should be set to kind of create. So I'm going to come to events first and just drag out a green flag, and we're going to start here with sensing. So the nice thing about sensing is Scratch can take in input from somebody that's using the program and do something according to what they type in. So for example, let's start here. Let's use this ask block, and Scratch is going to ask your name. So I'm going to hit the green flag, and we'll notice this bar appears on the bottom of my screen. And I can type in here. That's going to be the difference between a say block and an ask block. If I run here, my cat is just saying something, but an ask is allowing me to type something in. So I'm going to go ahead here and type in my name Ashley and hit enter or the check mark. And now you'll notice here in sensing, this little answer block here, if I click this, the name that was typed in is stored in this answer block. So here's where a variable is going to come into play. We can come down here to variables as we did in our last video and hit make a variable. And let's call this name and hit OK. So now what I can do is set the name variable to the answer they type in. Now notice the difference here as I run this. I'm going to type in Ashley, hit enter, and notice the variable name is stored as Ashley, and I could run this a bunch of different times. We'll say Ryan, and my variable has changed. That's the beauty of these variables, is they're able to be changed. Okay, so now we could do something with this name since it's stored in a variable. Why don't we go ahead and say hello to whoever our program is talking to. So if I were to run this as Ashley and say, what is your name? My cat's going to say, hello, Ashley, to finish out my program here. So that's a good start to our sensing piece here. The next thing we could do is under operators, this join block. Notice how when my cat spoke, he said hello, and then waited and said my name. A join block allows us to combine text with variables. So if I drag this into one block here, I've got my text and then my variable. Now notice the difference. What's your name? And now it's one sentence. So if you prefer that feature, please try that out. Wonderful. The next thing I want us to look at are lists. So if we come into variables, we saw make a variable, and I'm going to actually create one more for our list here. We're going to call it x values. And right below, I'm going to get rid of my name. I'm going to uncheck the name. Right down here, we see make a list. I'm going to click make a list. And let's call this our x list. Now notice what pops up on our screen. We've got a table that's popping up. And we can move this where we please. So I'm going to move it over here. Perfect. All right, so in this program, it's going to be a little bit more complex. We are going to start with, first off, asking how many values are in the list. And whatever they respond with, we're going to set our variable of x values to their answer. Okay, so for example, how many values are in your list? Let's say I have 10 values. So we'll notice my list is going to be 10 values long. Let's make this a little bit smaller. Or I could run this again and we could say how many values are in your list, and we could type in 5, and we'll see as we go here our list will become 5 long. So this is the start to our program. Now after we've determined how many are in our list, we want to know the actual values. So we need to ask another question. We need to say, what is, we'll say this, we'll say type in an x value. And when they type in their value, first off, we can add whatever they type in, their answer, to our list. So notice how this will work. So let's say how many values are in our list. Let's say we have 5 values. Type in, let's move this a little bit. an X value. Let's say 10 is in my list. And now 10 was added to my list. However, I have 5 values and I've only typed 1 into my list here. So I need to repeat this prompting for each of our values however many times. Ooh, come on. This gets a little finicky sometimes. There we go. I need to repeat this not 10 times, but however many times we have listed here in our X values. So since this can change, since it's a variable, we want to drag in X values here. We're going to repeat, in this case, 5 times, but if this number changed, so would how many values we type in. And I'm going to come down here and say delete all of my X list to start my program. All right, let's see how this works. All right, how many values are in the list? Let's say 3 values. Type in an X value. Let's say the numbers 1, 2, and 3 are on our list. So here's 1, 2, and 3. And we've got all 3 numbers typed in the list. So the first thing we talked about in here was sensing, which allows us to take input from a user. The second was variables, which allows us to also input things that are going to change within our program.